Let's start with Einstein because I'm a science person. Like you mentioned woo-woo, like I was a microbiology and biochemistry major at Yale, so like I was hard science person. So I like starting with Einstein because he's brilliant, obviously physicist, but so much more. I don't know how much you know about Einstein, but he was freaking brilliant. And lots of times we think about science, we think about kind of in the box, like what can we know? Like what can we know for sure? But Einstein said that imagination is more important than knowledge. Because knowledge is limited, we can only know certain things, but our imagination embraces kind of the whole world, and it embraces progress, and it embraces and births evolution. So imagination is the key, and again, looking at your portfolio, I can tell that you guys are on board with that it's imagination that gives us our edge, because it's our ability to kind of have this vision, this innovation, which then you guys are able to like make happen for your clients in ways that's what sets you apart. Right, and makes people come to you and come back to you. So this is all about kind of using our imagination, setting intentions, and then figuring out how to execute. Because all the great ideas in the world are useless if you can't execute. Yes? Cool. So for me, setting intentions is a lot like planting seeds. I grew up on a farm, so I love like nature and farming analogies, right? So I like to think about setting intentions like planting seeds. And when you plant a seed, you do it underground, you can't really see anything's happening. And if you actually think about what a seed is, we kind of take it for granted that this little tiny thing is going to sprout into like a huge tree one day that will bear fruit. I grew up on an apple farm, so I think about like an apple seed that sprouts and turns into a huge tree with tons of fruit. And we take it for granted that that's kind of how it works, because it's always been that way, but it's really miraculous that one little seed, which is like a wish or an intention, can grow into something so big and powerful. Let's talk quick about probably one of the most unfertile, unhealthy, most unforgiving land that one could try to plant a seed, the New York City real estate market. Anybody have to deal with New York City real estate ever? Like get an apartment in New York City? Yeah, so unforgiving, right? Harsh. About 12 years ago, my husband and I lived in the Archive building. It's West Village rental, and the capital of Manhattan has lived there. Everyone knows someone who lived there at some point. Wanted to start a family and wanted an apartment that we could raise our family in, like a home. But I grew up on a farm, so no trust fund, and my husband, same. So getting an apartment was like a huge pie in the sky vision, right? We really had no idea how, because we really couldn't afford more than like a 1-bedroom, maybe convert into a 2-bedroom. It wasn't the kind of home in New York City that we wanted to raise our family in. So we had no idea how we were going to do it, but we really clearly set this intention. And one day I was up actually on the farm, and my husband called me. He's like, Pam, I was just walking Sydney. We had a little Jack Russell Terrier. I was walking Sydney, and there's a sign in the window, one building up from the Archive, that there's a commercial space available for sale. And it's 2,700 square feet, and it's $700,000. Which 2,700 square feet in New York City for $700,000, which is still a stupid amount of money, but that was like, what? And so you have to call them right away and see if we can convert this to residential. And I was like, okay. So I called them, I talked to the agent. She was like, no, it's a commercial space. She didn't even want to show it to me. And I was like, no, well, please, okay, just show me the space. Let me see the space. Talked her into showing it to me. Immediately started calling expediters to see if there was going to be a way that we could convert this space from commercial to residential. The first 2 expediters I talked to said absolutely not, because let me tell you, this space was 2,700 square feet. So there's a storefront, so there's a door and 2 windows in the front, and then there's a door and 2 windows in the back that had 18 inches of clearance and then a brick wall that went up higher than the 2nd story, because it was actually next to a school. So the back had no light and air, and there were no windows on the side. So the expediters I talked to were like, you can't, because of the air and light laws, you can't have a residential unit with this amount of light and air. And so, meanwhile, I'm drawing like layouts for the apartment, because it was 1,400 square feet and then 1,300 square feet literally in the basement. I'm like, oh, that could be a rec room, and the kids could play down there, and we'd have the 2 bedrooms up here. But meanwhile, everyone thought we were crazy, and there was like no like light at the end of the tunnel that this was even going to be possible. But the 3rd expediter I called, and I was literally going to give up at this point. The 3rd expediter I called was like, tell me again. I was like, I could get that done with apartment buildings. I was like, are you sure? So we couldn't get any kind of like, well, if you can't turn it into residential, then we weren't going to like get out of the deal. He was like, no, I could get that done. And so literally, the 11th hour, we signed the contract, and literally the lawyer that was selling it, he said, I gotta ask you, what are you gonna do with this space? Because it was like just a box in a basement. I was like, oh, we're gonna we're gonna try to put extra windows in on the side, and I think we're gonna have a beautiful kitchen, and we're gonna cut in stairs, it's gonna go internally. So I had it all in my head, but literally everybody thought we were nuts. But we had this vision, and we pushed through, and after about 9 months of absolute hell, I mean, everything that could have went wrong did, and blood, tears, like it was bad. We almost got lead paint, it was really bad. But we got it done. And no one thought we could have done it. And it was literally a miracle in that we ended up basically getting a 2,700 square feet apartment for the price of a 1.5 bedroom, even all in. And then actually we lived there for a year and then sold it for an astronomical profit, which then allowed us to buy more normal second floor walkthrough. So literally made $1 million, which for my husband and I were like, what? But this was way before I knew any of the principles that I'm gonna tell you guys about today in terms of manifesting, right? And when I look back at what we were doing through this whole process and how we were handling this whole process, we were completely spot on point with the principles that I'm about to tell you. Cool? So let's dive in. So first, going back to our seed analogy, how do we want to plant our seeds? What seeds do we want to plant and how do we want to plant them? So when we're setting intentions, what are the kind of goals, the kind of visions that we want to say, okay, I'm writing this down, this is something that I'm going to set as my intention. And we don't want this to be a SMART goal, right? This doesn't need to be realistic. It actually was not realistic for us to tackle this apartment project. It wasn't realistic. Because if it was realistic, someone else would have already done it, right? If you're going to be visionary, that means that you are setting goals that no one else can see but you. So you want to set intentions that are absolutely visionary, unrealistic to anyone else. In fact, if people are telling you, oh yeah, that sounds like a good idea, you probably haven't aimed high enough, right? So those are the goals that you want to set, that they're visionary and they're inspired. And you want to be super clear, vivid in your vision. So if you want a Ferrari, I want you to think about, okay, it's gonna be red, it's gonna have the cream leather and these kind of wheels, really, really vivid of what you're envisioning. And you want to be sure, absolutely sure, that this is what you want. Because if you change your mind through this process, we're going to talk about what can go wrong, but if you change your mind through the process, you're losing your momentum, you're losing the power. So you have to be sure. Okay? Next, you need to be really clear on the why underneath the why. Why is it that you want this? Deeply want this. Not just on the surface, oh, we wanted a home, we wanted to have an apartment. We wanted a home to raise our family. We wanted a space that my kids could grow up in. Something really deep and emotional. And next, you want it to be mutually beneficial, in the spirit of cooperation. So as you're setting these intentions, you really want to think about, how does this benefit not just me, but the bigger picture? And in our apartments case, believe it or not, it was hugely beneficial for everyone else in the apartment building that were owners, for us to convert it to residential, because it really helped their property values. So little things like that, having it be not just good for you, but good for everyone else, infuses what you're trying to do with a lot more power than if it was just all about me, 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 me. Yes? Cool. All right, last but not least, you want to stay really grounded in gratitude and appreciation as you set your intentions. If you're setting goals and your intentions from a place of, what I have right now is not enough, this isn't okay, and you're not in a place of gratitude and appreciation, it's literally like planting seeds in toxic, fertile, soil, right? So you don't want to do that. You want to stay in a place of grounded gratitude and appreciation as you set your goals. So then, once you plant the seeds, you need to nourish them, right? How do you get the seeds to sprout and bear fruit? So first off, you have to take action every day in the direction of whatever it is that you're intending, right? So literally every day, you gotta hustle, you gotta take action. And you have to stay positive, because if you let yourself get stuck at all, with any of the negative things, because there's going to be setbacks, there's going to be catastrophes, there's going to be challenges. And staying positive as those pop up, so you look for solutions and opportunities, and every one of those kind of challenge points will empower you to keep growing and keep moving towards your goals. Cool? So as we nourish, we need to surrender. Because when we are kind of maintaining this momentum towards our intention, if we're not kind of surrendering the little hows and the timing, ultimately the timing and the how is out of our hands, right? Because as anything kind of unfolds in life, if you look back at the big things that you've accomplished, so often it's those little moments that go really, really kind of like you never would have anticipated. Like my husband is a manager for a pop star. And the way that all started is that he was on a plane and randomly started talking to a woman next to him who had a little boy and they were doing stickers. And it turned out she was a singer and needed a manager. And that got him on this path to be a manager. So these little moments of serendipity that you couldn't possibly have anticipated are exactly what end up bringing you towards your goal. So keeping that openness and that surrender is key to manifesting all that you're trying to manifest. Another really important part of nourishing is rooting out your negative beliefs and your contradictory kind of limiting beliefs and your fears. Because we all have those. Like if we're talking about building wealth, right? Like of course we all want to be wealthy. But a lot of us were raised in an environment where like money is the root of all evils. And like wealthy people are greedy and don't really care about others. If there's any part of you that believes that, you're going to be working against yourself as you're trying to manifest your goals. So taking the time to root that stuff out and get really clear what contradictory beliefs you may have around your goals is super, super important for nourishing what it is that you're trying to manifest.
Thank you.
So the stuff that goes wrong, right, why do some of our intentions not bear fruit? Why do they not blossom? It's because kind of the opposite of everything we were just talking about. So if you're not grateful, if you're in a place of desire that like, I need this, I'm hungry, and I'm sure you guys have all heard this, like staying hungry is such an important piece of the puzzle to achieve your goals. Like stay hungry, stay hungry. So the piece of hunger that's good is that you're taking action. The problem with hunger is that it's rooted in fear and a scarcity mindset. That there's not enough. And so it makes us kind of miss the mutually beneficial piece of the puzzle. And so that piece of that hunger is something that we actually want to get to a deeper place around, where we can continue to hustle every day and be inspired in the action that we take, but we're not rooted in a place of fear. We're rooted in a place of gratitude and this abundance mentality that there is enough for everyone, that I can think about others while I create, and it will all work out fine, right? So basically, to wrap up, the last 7 key principles to leave you guys with, that I think basically root all of this into how you can literally plant those seeds and have them sprout so you can kind of manifest greatness. First, clarity. Now, I don't know if any of you meditate or don't meditate, but meditation is an incredibly powerful practice to help you have clarity. And that's something that before I meditated, there was a lot more kind of blocks, a lot more lack of clarity around both what my vision was, my inspiration, and my deeper purpose, right? Like the why underneath the why. I would get stuck in kind of a more shallow assessment of my needs and wants. So meditation is an incredibly powerful practice to help us, have that clarity. Next, being in a place of caring. So a place of like generosity, a place of respect, a place of compassion. Having that open-hearted, caring energy about you literally allows the flow of life to continue, right? Because if you're caring about others, and you're being generous with life, it works that then you are going to be taken care of. And life does come back. And sometimes it's just someone random on the street that doesn't even know you, but they'll come and help. So there is this flow, but we have to be open to it and be giving it in order to receive it. So next is courage. Like we have to be brave in order to take these risks, in order to allow any of this stuff to actually flow, to like let go of some of the death grip that we have on making it all happen ourselves. Like we get so stuck in our head thinking that we have to make it all happen ourselves, when the reality is so much is out of our control. Like that serendipity of like just seeing, a flyer in a window about a listing that we never would have seen because we weren't looking at commercial listings, right? Like that's just serendipity. And we need to surrender, the next principle, in order to kind of allow that stuff to happen. And when I say surrender, it's not about giving up. That's not what surrender means when I use that word. The surrender is kind of allowing and letting go of the things that are truly out of your control. And as we know, there is always so much more out of our control than what is really in our control. And if we're kind of resisting anything that's painful, attaching to anything that's pleasurable, like that actually blocks the flow of all of this creativity and innovation. Yes? So we've got surrender, and we've got listening. So remembering to listen, be a deep listener. There are always breadcrumbs, there's always little messages, there's always ideas, sparks of inspiration. Someone you may meet randomly and sit down next on the bus may turn and say something to you that sparks that next brilliant idea. You never know where that inspiration or where that aha or where that solution is going to come from. So be a deep listener. Stay open and curious at all times. Okay, next, the hustle. We gotta have the hustle. The hustle is what is moving the ball forward. Nothing good ever comes in life by not taking massive action. So every day, keep hustling, take action. Even if you don't know if it's the right action, it's better to be failing forward and learning from those actions than to sit and not take action. You won't learn or grow if you sit and don't take action. And then the last key principle is gratitude. Staying in a place of gratitude, there's something about gratitude that's like X marks the spot for luck, for just things to happen to you that are positive, that are blessings, that like, there's something about it, I can't explain it, but I'm sure you've all experienced the power of gratitude and how it really does infuse you with a strength that you don't normally have, that if you're not feeling grateful, you just are in a more weakened state. And there's just something about, people being extra kind to you, people being generous with you, things just falling in place, being in the right place at the right time.